fried liver mush as a side.
Wow.
And most everybody in there got fried liver mush.
Hey, when you're
Still
making
in-
39 grand and you're eating fried liver mush, it doesn't get much better than that, right?
Becoming a rock star, baby. Becoming a rock star. Welcome to the Small Business Safari, where I help guide you to avoid those traps, pitfalls, and dangers that lurk when navigating the wild world of small business ownership. I'll share those gold nuggets of information and invite guests to help accelerate your ascent to that mountaintop of success. It's a jungle out there, and I want to help you traverse through the levels of owning your own business that can get you bogged down and distract you from hitting your own personal and professional goals. So strap in, adventure team, and let's take a ride through the safari and get you to the mountaintop. Cheers. Alan, I'm looking forward to this. Episode 1. We've been talking about doing this for a year, and we finally got a chance to launch this thing. I can't wait to go back and forth and start sharing some of these great stories that you and I both have. So with that, we'll go ahead and let's get rolling.
Chris.
Yeah.
It's our first podcast.
It is.
Something has occurred to me.
Uh-oh.
Nobody knows who we are. I mean, our friends do, but we need a little credibility. So let me ask you something.
All right.
If Warren Buffett told you to buy a stock, what would you do?
I would buy the stock he told me.
As fast as you can.
Faster.
If the guy at the bar near your neighborhood, say 2 a.m. on a Wednesday night, told you to buy a stock, would you buy the stock?
I'm probably checking up on that one. You're probably going to
you might buy the stock, but you shouldn't.
Right.
So I think we need a little backstory, a little credibility here. So you came from royalty.
I came from royalty. No.
Yeah.
I was
Switzerland, a castle.
I was
Medici family.
Not any of that. No.
Okay, so what's your story?
So I was born in Jackson, Michigan. And right in Michigan, we always say, put up the hand, and I was right in the middle.
You're not giving me the finger.
I am not giving you the finger. And remember, you got to keep it tight.
Yeah.
And I'm right in the middle. And
it is kind of interesting with geography. So Michigan has the hand.
Right?
Yeah. Italy has the foot.
The boot.
Yeah. So what do people in Florida point at? That's a little aside.
I don't know.
Have you never looked at it on a map?
It does look a little
Phallic.
It is phallic.
Yeah.
It's like that. That's crazy.
Something out of Austin Powers. So anyway.
There we go. So we got there.
Yeah.
So no, I actually.
And everybody, by the way, I call Chris the human hummingbird. We will go off on tangents, but back to you, back to Michigan.
Yeah. So born in Michigan, I was born into a family. We were not blue collar. My father was an engineer. My mother was a nurse, and she actually worked as well all my life. And they put me through Catholic school, which was also a big to do for our families. So that was pretty cool. Get a chance to go to Catholic school.
So I'm obviously successful parents. You knew you were going to go to college. Were they steering you in a certain direction, or was it, hey, just go to school, whatever you want to do, be happy? What was
steering me in a certain direction? Yes and no. I knew I wanted to be an engineer. I was pretty good aptitude-wise with science and math. And so my dad was a civil engineer, but so I wanted to rebel and not be a civil engineer. I ended up being a mechanical engineer. But
that is just right next to whatever. Go ahead.
I just went off the rails.
He's so
disappointed.
Did
he steer me? He steered me to the cheapest option because I wanted to go to a school in Cleveland called Case Western Reserve, where I could play football, Division III school, and a lot of their engineers ended up in the NASA space program. We went there. My dad said, so how did we look in the placement testing? Did you get any academic money? I mean, I was smart, but I wasn't that kind of smart. And I said, no. They said I didn't get any academic awards. I said, what did you find out? He said, well, I found out they wanted me to remortgage the house. He said, I think this one's out. So we got back in the car in Cleveland, Ohio, back down I-80, driving back going, it looked like I was staying in state. So Michigan Tech, here I come. And so where's Michigan Tech? It takes two hands to tell everybody where that is.
Oh, my gosh.
You go up to Mackinac Island, and you're halfway there. And when you get to the Mackinac Bridge, you got another 4.5 hours to get up to Houghton.
You got to stop for fudge.
And you've got to stop for fudge and pasties, and you got to turn on your Yooper accent, and you got to be able to go get your donuts and beers and know what you're talking about. And you realize where I went to school, it averages 200 inches of snow a year.
So I knew you went to school in Michigan. I didn't know it was in the UP.
Yeah.
That's insane.
That is insane. It was a great engineering school. It was amazing what I got to do and what I learned while I was there. But I went to school north of where most Canadians live. Because most of them, Toronto was south of us. Yeah. So there you go.
So you didn't look at, say, Florida State or,
Did I not look at Florida State? When Dad said, it looks like you need to pare back your ideas, all the other schools that I was thinking of going to were all small liberal arts schools that were going to cost a lot of money. And I never thought you could go further south because to me growing up, Toledo was the South. It just didn't even register to me that I could go somewhere else.
I had a similar experience. I didn't have a lot of choices with college. And then now I'm taking my kids on college tours. And I'm like, I want a complete do-over.
I want a do-over.
I want a mulligan.
I know. I'd love to go back and do those tours again. In fact, I didn't do it, but I ran into a friend of mine years later who at Accenture, which we'll get to probably at some point, but he looked at me and said, you went to Michigan Tech. I said, yep, not the smartest idea in the world. Loved the education. Loved everything about it except 200 inches of snow a year. I loved the snow in the middle of the year, but it was 3 to 1 guys to girls.
Yeah, that's not good.
And he said, yep, I went to Florida State. I said, man, that's awesome. He said, but that's why it took you 4 years to get an engineering degree, and it took me 7 to get a poli-sci degree. So I did it, but I did it for, I think, the right reasons.
So what were you intending to do?
I was intending to do, that's a great bring me back point. So what did I do in high school? In high school, I went to work at a manufacturing shop. I got a chance and an opportunity to go work. I happened to know this guy because I was dating his daughter. But he turned out a
different podcast.
That is a whole different thing about don't let your daughters date guys like me. No, it was good. It was he was awesome. He brought me into the manufacturing facility, and I started on the dock, and then I got to go work on a single machine, and then I got a chance to go work on the screw machines, be the big guys. And I'm sitting there learning all this stuff, and I'm really digging manufacturing. And he came up to me and said, I don't think you need to go to college. I know where Michigan Tech is. That's where my wife is from. Why don't you just stay here, and I'll teach you everything you need to know, and you can become a manufacturing engineer. I brought that up to my dad, and he didn't think that was the smartest idea. And looking back on it now, it probably was not the smartest idea. I needed to go to college and go learn some more things, as it were. But I learned a lot right off the bat, learning how to work hard. And I showed up at the shop at 6 o'clock, and I learned really quickly, early on, if you clock in 2 minutes late, you get docked 15 minutes. You clock in 15 minutes early, you still get your regular pay. So those are 15 you get back. I learned how to punch a clock and do things. I learned a lot of blue-collar lessons. Yeah. I also learned that they said the mark of a great machinist was a guy who didn't get dirty. He was able to run his machines and keep himself clean and be proper. And we all had uniforms. And I was so greasy and so oily at the end of every day. My mother used to make me strip down to my underwear before I came in the house. So I wasn't the best machinist.
Yeah. So you can't work with your hands. Is that what you're saying? Or
I just could not. Yeah. I could not. In fact, there was one, the mental thing. If I explain this to everybody, you're up. These screw machines are massive machines, and they're a very specialty thing. They always work on cylindrical parts, but you have to get in them to work on them. You reach in and you have to change the settings and the tools, and but all the material flows to the bottom into the vat. One time I was working on the tools and my foot slipped off my little ladder, and all you could see were my legs dangling out of the machine, and they had to come pull me out. So,
all right. Yeah. So what was your intent with grad school?
My intent with grad school, so I finished my engineering degree at Michigan Tech, and in 92, when I was coming out, the market was soft. It wasn't, the 2 years before that, we had hundreds of companies showing up to hire Michigan Tech engineers, which were very well known for being a blue-collar, hardworking, salt-of-the-earth engineer group. But when I came out, I could go to the Navy and work on a nuclear sub. I skipped that meeting, wasn't going to even try that one. And I had a chance to go work at General Electric, which would have been pretty cool, except they wanted to start me in Milwaukee, which was pretty cold, and I had enough of the cold.
You learn lessons Slowly, right?
Very slowly.
But you got that one. You don't want to be cold anymore.
I didn't want to be cold anymore.
All right.
And then my dad says, well, since you went in-state, and I actually put myself through most of the school with one small loan. I worked while I was at school, and I got a little bit of a scholarship for playing football. But it was such an inexpensive school to go to that my parents didn't have to pay a lot of money. He said, why don't you go to grad school? And I said, well, I'm not sure I should. Well, okay. Well, so I was also working for a professor at school at Michigan Tech, and he said, well, stay here with me, and you can work on thermodynamics. And another one said, well, you can stay here and do manufacturing, and we'll pay you to stay. So I was going to get paid to stay. I was like, ooh, this is interesting. And I said, wait a minute, where am I? Oh, that's right. Houghton, Michigan, 200 inches of snow a year, 3-1 guys to girls. I think I want to go see the rest of the world a little bit. So I asked one of my counselors, the one who offered me a position, I said, I just can't stay. I want to go somewhere else. And he said, well, go look at these schools. And my dad again said, hey, I'll pay. I'm like, all right, we're going to do that. But then I found out, hey, a guy like me, average white guy, is not going to grad school. And they want guys from the U.S. to go to grad school because a lot of people coming into grad school came from overseas. So they told me to look at UNC Charlotte. They told me to, and that's obviously in Charlotte, told me to look at Georgia Tech, Ohio State, and Florida, because I gave them the parameters that everything has got to be in the South. I've got to see warm weather. I went down, I toured UNC Charlotte, toured Georgia Tech in Florida and Ohio State, and UNC Charlotte gave me the opportunity to go get a PhD in 3 years. Georgia Tech accepted me. And I said, oh no, I can't go to Georgia Tech, which, as you know, is the 4th best engineering school in the nation with an incredible pedigree.
Yeah.
I went to UNC Charlotte, which I'm going to guess you didn't even know it existed until I told you.
I'd heard of it, but this kind of goes into this pattern of you seem to learn lessons the hard way.
I'm a little slow.
Yeah. Okay.
A little slow. So I went to UNC Charlotte with the idea that I was going to become a doctor in 3 years.
And how long was that program elsewhere?
Everywhere else, it would have been 4 to 5 years to become a doctor, 2 years to get a master's degree, and then another 3 on top.
That decision makes sense, right?
Yeah. So I think that was a great idea. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to Charlotte. I did. And I went there, and the first thing that I was going to start working on was stuff around the space shuttle and the measurement devices that it takes to make the parts for the space shuttle.
Are we back to screws again?
We aren't there yet. That's how I got screwed out. So
here's
how I got screwed.
There's a theme.
So
you were going to make screws for the space shuttle, though, right?
No.
Oh.
I didn't make screws for the space shuttle. I was going to work on the measurement tools for the space shuttle because, unfortunately, we had the Challenger disaster years before, which meant a lot of funding went into making sure that never happened again.
Yeah.
And part of that funding was going to be me getting a PhD in 3 years to work on the measurement tools to make these parts. I'm like, I'm in.
Yeah.
And then what happened? In 1992, Bill Clinton got sworn in. And what happened in February of 1993, because he was sworn in 93, January 93, they pulled my funding.
Wow.
I'm out. But I still get paid. I still get to go to school. I just don't have the 3-year accelerated PhD program behind me anymore with that funding. So my professor found me some different funding, and it involved measuring screws.
It always comes back to screws with you.
I went right back to screws. So I worked on a small paper on how to measure screw threads the right way with the accuracy, the dimensional tolerances, with absolutely everything you're thinking about right now. Yes, it was that boring.
It's like a Dilbert cartoon. I mean, it's cracking me up. Something out of The Office. So,
yeah.
At that point, were you thinking maybe this manufacturing is not for me?
Oh, no. I stuck right with it.
Okay.
Yeah. No, as a matter of fact, at UNC Charlotte, we have a sister school in England. And I was on the very first version of what is now email. And I was on the EDU network. And people may have heard of that.
Yeah.
And we were able to communicate by typing a message and hitting send. And somebody would respond in England to my message. Today, we all call that Well, of course, right?
Email.
Yeah, they call it email. And even one of the guys even said, man, this is really cool. I think there's something to this. I'm like, no, I'm going to go make parts. I'm going to go make parts. I'm going to go measure things. I'm going to measure screw threads. So I banged my way through my master's degree and realizing that I never really wanted to be a researcher. It was a little too slow for me. I still go back to, I wanted to run my own business. So at 17, getting that taste of manufacturing, I kept telling my dad, I want to be my own businessman because my grandfather and my grandmother both had businesses. And I said, that's what I want to do. So when I was 17, I kept saying that. I hope, I wish. And he finally looked at me and said, hopes and wishes are in Disney and in fairy tales. If you want to do something, you better write it down.
So you pushed that aside to pursue your doctorate and everything else. I mean, you had this entrepreneurial spirit.
I felt like the PhD was going to help me identify a business to get into. I was thinking that, why did I want to become a doctor? So I could go to a hotel and say, Dr. Lalomia is checking in. Not because I want to do the research, but the other idea was I thought I would find something that I could make a business out of. Because the one thing I knew about myself, and I had to remind myself years later, was I wasn't the idea guy. I'm not Elon Musk. I'm not Bill Gates. I'm not Steve Jobs coming up with these great ideas or taking an idea and making it great. I'm really good at taking something and fixing it and making it better. And so I figured I'll find that when I got there, right? And I didn't necessarily find it. I probably did, but I did a whole lot of ignoring it, looking back on it now. So things like email. How about this other thing? The computer could control the machine and make the part. Boy, that's a good idea, right? Oh, no. Can't do that there, Chris, because you need to be an artist to work a mill or a lathe or a screw machine.
So you're not a technology early adopter.
I was not a technology early adopter. Although I worked on spreadsheets before they became what everybody now considers either Google Sheets or Excel. I was on the email. I was looking at these computers controlling machines because we were retrofitting them on machines, but I was ignoring it. No, I'm going to go do something else. And then the whole reason I went to school was so I keep my hands in the machines world and manufacturing. And I ended up with the most esoteric and academic thesis ever written. It's the effects of spherical objects on a capacitance probe. That was the title of my thesis.
That sounds riveting.
That's a page turner.
Yeah.
Alan, I'm surprised you haven't read it.
Yeah.
I thought it was a nationwide bestseller.
I have had a bout of insomnia lately. Maybe you can let me know. My God.
Come on, I'm sure you had to do some of that stuff.
The relation of spherical capacitance, what?
The effects of spherical objects on an electromagnetic capacitance probe. I think I have the thesis in the other room. I still haven't read it.
And now you have a professional handyman business and you've written a book and you're on a podcast. So how do you go from...
How did we get to this seat on episode 1?
Right.
From that?
Yes.
Just like everybody else's journey, it was filled with a lot of twists and turns, and it was never linear.
Yeah.
I did not go from point A to point B. I did not go from 17, knowing exactly that I was going to run my own business by the time I was 35, with 50 employees making parts for the automotive industry. That was my goal. That was the thing I had written down. I had that piece of paper up until literally 2 years ago.
That's like Tiger Woods. I mean, he wrote down, I want to, beat Jack Nicklaus's record in majors. He wrote it down as a little kid.
So you just compared me to Tiger Woods.
I did.
Yeah. I think you can't see this on the podcast. There is nothing even
we
close.
Haven't played golf yet together either. I don't know.
And I'm not even close to Tiger Woods there.
Yeah. Anyway, okay.
So no, I'm not Tiger Woods. But yes, I wrote it down.
Now, when I met you, you were in banking. So obviously there was a change.
Wow.
Yeah.
Boy, where is this going to go? So I had a job.
Manufacturing.
I was getting my master's degree.
Yeah.
And again, what do you do with a master's degree in mechanical engineering? And I was in the precision engineering world, which is a small niche. And I had job opportunities again in Minnesota and in Illinois. Too cold.
Mm-hmm.
I'm out. I decided to stay in Charlotte. and went to work at Curtiss-Wright Flight Systems, making aerospace parts. I had missed out on my opportunity at Case Western to go work for NASA. I had missed out on my opportunity to get my PhD working on measurement devices for the space shuttle. Now I was finally going to get into flight and work on parts that were made for the aerospace industry. Really cool, right?
Yeah.
And I was making the big bucks. My friends were making the big bucks because they had already gone off. I went off for 2.5 years to get my master's degree because that's how long it took because of the change. And they were all making 20 grand more than me when I started. I was making $39,000 a year with a master's degree in Shelby, North Carolina, making aerospace parts. But I loved it.
You loved it, but something inside said, hey, wait a minute.
Let's go ahead and thank one of our sponsors. Are you in the home services space and you need to train your employees to act the way you want them to act in the house to take care of your customers at 110%? Then you need to get the Home Service Institute training program. These training programs talk the language of your technician and help them figure out how to align your goals with their wants. Go ahead and check out thehomeserviceinstitute.com and all the training modules they can bring to you to turn your employees into 110% customer experience providers. That's thehomeserviceinstitute.com for all of your technician customer service training. Now let's get back to listen to what the guys have to say.
So you're in the middle of North Carolina, you're making 39 grand. You actually like what you're doing. And I've always said, I'm not sure how many thousands or tens of thousands of dollars loving what you do is worth, but it's a lot of them. Now,
It was cool, but it wasn't worth it.
Yeah.
I still look back on those days and had to work on Saturday mornings. And
your friends are making more money than you.
my friends are all making more money than me. And we were ordering them breakfast on Saturday. That was our bonus, right? Did you know in Shelby, North Carolina, that they fry liver mush? And that is a side.
Yeah. Did you order that side? That's disgusting. There's so many good things
eggs,
that you can
grits.
get in North Carolina. Yeah. Biscuitville. Did they not have a Biscuitville in
You have
Shelby?
you have biscuits, but you could get fried liver mush as a side.
Wow.
And most everybody in there got fried liver mush.
Hey, when you're
Still
making
eat- 39
grand and you're eating fried liver mush, it doesn't get much better than that, right?
I'm becoming a rock star, baby. Becoming a rock star. The liver mush thing was I never tried it because but it came out like a square fried patty. So it was fried.
And they called it fried liver mush.
Yeah.
Wow.
So you never had it either.
No, never. I've never seen it on a menu, and I've eaten at some
Divey places.
Oh yeah, it's kind of one of my things.
Oh, it was great. The time I had there was good. I enjoyed it because it actually helped me work on a lot of things, including time management skills, and started to build on and I had the idea. I still kept looking around going, okay, what can I do to start a business? What can I do?
Isn't it interesting? You have these plans, and yet your journey always goes in a different direction than what you originally intended. But when you look back on it, you see all these experiences that you had formed who you are and how you think, and you learn. You work for a horrible boss, and you realize what bad leadership is. At the time, it sucks, but it shapes who you are. So here you are eating liver mush. No,
I didn't eat.
Not eating liver mush.
I skipped the liver mush, but
Okay.
I was thrilled that I got
can't believe
free
you didn't try
breakfast.
it once. You put some hot sauce on it. It's probably
No,
all right.
I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Couldn't do it.
Okay.
Yeah, but I just couldn't do it. I couldn't do it.
All right. Where'd you go from there?
So I learned a lot doing the engineering stuff, learning how to do it. I was making aerospace parts, and I was pretty excited about it. And then I realized that I probably wasn't going where I wanted to go. I couldn't figure out a business yet. I was looking around. I was at Curtiss-Wright, and I realized that everybody that I worked for had a business degree. And after my 6.5 years of schooling, undergrad and grad, mechanical engineering, smarter than everybody else in the room in the building at Curtiss-Wright Flight Systems, I had 2 business classes.
No offense to anybody still at Curtiss-Wright Flight Systems.
I think it's great school. It's a great company. In fact, I know a couple people still there.
You just said you're smarter than everybody there.
Well, they were smart.
Yeah.
I just, again, was being that young hot shot who may have been a little full of himself.
Oh, okay.
For sure. So I realized they had business degrees, and I hadn't figured out what I could do. I was thinking, okay, remember back in the day when we had to find jobs? We didn't go online.
Newspaper.
You went to the newspaper on Sundays.
Yeah.
Sunday was the biggest classified ads. They'd only do it once a week.
That's right.
I went to the Sunday classifieds. I started looking. What else can I do? I hadn't done what we both know now is important is networking, which will be another podcast we'll talk about.
Yeah. That could be a lot of podcasts.
Yeah. I was in the Society of Manufacturing Engineers because I was president of that when I was in school. And I kept it up while I got out to Curtis Wright. But I had no clue what networking was. And let's face it, I'm networking with a bunch of engineers.
Yeah.
Who really
That's pretty dynamic.
Who really think that capacitance and spherical objects would be kind of interesting.
Yeah.
So really dynamic. How about that for a networking group? Huh?
That's like going to my wife's Christmas party, and she's an accountant. Have you ever been to an accounting Christmas party?
No.
Oh my God, shoot myself. Terrible. And so one year they actually had the Christmas party at a dog track, and I'm like, yes, we're going to actually have some fun this year at the Christmas party because I can chat up anybody. And I mean, 2 seconds with most accountants, and I'm like, I got to get out of here. So we're at the dog track.
Yeah.
I'm all excited. And then I hear them talking about the various permutations on a trifecta wheel and the positive return you get on a show bet. I was like, they can suck the life out of.
See, you didn't make any money off of them?
No, I didn't make any money. I mean, we're at the dog track. I'm betting on the puppies. I wait to see which one takes a dump, and then I bet on that dog, and then woo, and high five.
So the accountants couldn't figure out who to bet
on. No.
So they couldn't even give you that.
No. They were doing spreadsheets. It was terrible. So it's like networking with engineers.
Oh my God, that's hilarious. Yeah. So I started looking at the classifieds, and my wife, I got married through all this, and she said, "Why don't you go look at this Anderson company?" And she circled that. I'm like, whoa.
You know, when the wife circles something, did she actually tap on it with the pencil? She circled it, touch it.
Right? Why is it always a tap on the finger on the class? Why you tap? Like I can't see it.
I think it's part of the training, the subliminal, the behavioral conditioning.
Yeah. So this Pavlov's dog.
Yeah.
So the dog looked at it, and my thing originally, again, email, no. Computer controlled machines? Oh, please, no. Can't do that. She says, why don't you go look at this company? It's called Anderson. And I said, look, I'm making parts for Boeing. People are flying with the parts I'm making. I'm almost going to space. I am not going to go make Windows.
Oh!
She said, Windows. I said, yeah, Anderson Windows. She goes, no.
She must really love you.
Yeah. She goes, no, this is Anderson Consulting. And she worked for IBM at the time. And Anderson Consulting had an audit practice and a consulting practice. And she had heard that the consultants there were pretty good and pretty sharp people. So I applied. I did remember those days when you had to have a really nice stock resume paper?
Yeah, that meant something.
I did it. Nice stock resume paper. Fold it up, submit my resume. Only one. It's the only one I ever sent because I couldn't find any other companies I would go to. I was thinking, well,
she hadn't circled any of the other ones.
Yeah, the ones I circled, she was like,
Yeah.
And again, back to my networking with engineers. Those guys were working for Freightliner and Stabilis. Stabilis is the company, when you have a hatchback and you open up your back, the arms that hold up the hatchback.
Right.
That's these guys.
The ones that always give out.
Right.
Yeah. Hit you on the head. Yeah.
Right. Because you got to buy more of them.
Yeah.
Planned obsolescence. Another big word. I go interview with Anderson Consulting, and I go in there and I get to interview. Well, you and I both know I have the horrible English accent, but I had to interview with an English guy.
From the royalty.
Right. That goes back to the royalty. Did you ever hear the Sport of Kings? It's not bowling. The Sport of Kings, it's not playing lawn darts in the backyard in your bare feet. I did both of those.
Yeah.
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 The
Really.
Sport of Kings is polo, not even golf. It was
Barefoot lawn darts.
yeah. How'd I do?
Yeah.
So I go in for this day-long interview. A day long. I interview with 5 or 6 people. And I sit down with Richard, what was his first name? I forget his last name. He looks at me and he starts asking me the questions. And I start giving the answers. What do you love to do? I love to do manufacturing. What do you love to do? Make parts. What else do you love to do? Well, I'm really skilled at making parts and measuring parts. And, I'm very good at gears. I'm very good at screw threads. And he's looking at me and he's like, so what do you think your skills are? I said, making parts. He goes, do you think your skills might be like problem solving, taking a large complex problem and breaking down small problems and coming up with a plan of action to fix that problem.
No, parts.
Parts. Yeah. Yeah.
Hello.
I'm like freaking Forrest Gump. No, parts.
How long did it take before you figured out he's actually trying to help you?
I was
He's
halfway
doing
through-
you a solid.
He was doing me a solid.
Yeah.
He wanted me in.
Yeah.
He said, and I said,
Is he giving?
Yes.
Is he giving you the head bob?
the head bob,
Yeah.
right? You're like, yes, large problem solving. Yes, linear thinking. Yes, logical thought processing. Oh, yes. I do it all the time. Yes, yes. He goes, I think you'd be a good fit here. He said, so about this manufacturing, you can do it, but you're going to have to travel 52 weeks a year. He said, but I think you'll be a great fit in banking. And it happened to be in Charlotte, North Carolina. And there were two companies there called
Good
First
banking
Union.
city.
First Union and Nations Bank, which became Bank of America and Wachovia. Wachovia and Bank of America will both say that they bought these little banks in Charlotte, but I sat there watching it, and these two guys in Charlotte, North Carolina, bought those two big names and became their bank. And that was really cool to watch. So I get an offer. I get to go work at Accenture. I leave my Shelby, North Carolina liver mush behind, and I go off to Accenture. And I had, again, another story I know I didn't tell you. The week I accepted the offer, I actually had a guy out in the shop turn his hat backwards to yell at me so he could get closer to me and let me know how little I knew. And I let him know in no uncertain terms how freaking smart I was too. And frick, and point fingers doing this, yelling top of the lungs at him that my machine and my device was working better than what his guys were making out of the shop.
Man, you got to be pissed to turn your hat backwards.
He was that pissed.
Yeah.
We were good friends. We made up. We kissed and made up. But that's how I was working. And now I'm going to go banking. Let's go banking. Chris is going to go banking. Little country mouse coming to the big city. I had to buy suits.
I can't get over the turning the hat backwards. That's hilarious. I just love the South.
He flipped his hat backwards
that is
and
just
went after me, brother.
You know, they talk about bow up, and if anybody's listening who's from any other part of the country, they may not know what bowing up means. But when you piss off a Southern boy, they bow up and they turn their hat backwards.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
So what I did was I tucked my tie in to yell back at him.
All right, so you're a banker.
So now I'm on my way to banking. So I had to go learn and polish up the edges. Accenture is what it became, but it was Anderson Consulting when I got there. And
Windows.
And it was not Windows. Yeah, it was not Windows. Yeah, that was.
Your wife must have
to this day.
Oh my God, we both married up. I know.
Yeah. Do you remember WKRP in Cincinnati?
Oh yeah.
As God is my witness, I thought turkeys could fly when they had that episode in Thanksgiving. As God is my witness, I did not know there was an Anderson Consulting out there. I thought it was a window company. I swear to God, not Windows. And I go there, and these guys take a guy who thinks he's pretty smart, a guy who thinks he can handle himself, and they really started to polish up his edges.
Now, did they have to actually take you aside a couple of times and say, hey, Chris, you're a little rough here, you're a little rough? I mean, or was it just through their overall culture and the management training or whatever they put you through? How did that polishing take place?
New story, Alan. Remember I told you about email? That I had been using it before anybody else
We're
had.
totally against email or any of those crazy newfangled things.
Watch what Chris does.
Oh, God.
Month 1.
Oh, no.
Did Chris get counseling? Constantly. A client who was working for Nations Bank at the time sent an email saying, I can't fulfill this request today. And I turned on all caps on my email.
Oh.
And I let her know.
Did you know that was yelling?
I do now. And I let her know in no uncertain terms that was unacceptable and that she will stay. And Dottie had been with the company for 32 years. I sent the email. Whoosh. I'm on the 2nd floor of this building. She's on the 5th floor. I sent it. I leaned over to the guy I'm working with and said, I just sent this email, and I told him what it was. He goes, to who? To Dottie? Nope. Go up there and find her computer and her cube and delete it. I start running 3 flights of stairs. I'm running up 3 flights of stairs.
I need a diversion.
I run into this cube farm where I know her. She is not even 5 foot, and I am 6'2", so I can see over, but I can't see her. So I'm running to her cube, and I get there, and I look in there. She's not there.
Oh,
Good. I go to her computer. It's open. My email's up, and it just said print.
oh, she was at the printer.
I run out. I'm now in a dead walk. Like, think office. Think office space. Think everything. I'm walking through the cube firm. I'm looking for. Printer, not there. Her boss is Dwight. I look in there. She's in Dwight's office.
Oh, my God.
Who's Dwight? Well, in the Anderson consulting world that I was in, he would be 5 years my senior on the client level, and I'm 5 levels below him on the other side.
Oh,
I go back down to my cube on the second floor,
that's a painful moment.
and I'm waiting.
Mm.
And it was 9, 10 o'clock in the morning. By 3 o'clock, my supervisor, Chris McKillop, comes in and says, "You got a minute?" I said, "I think I know what this is about." He said, "Yep." It went to Dwight, to our partner, who, again, is 7 levels above me, and then all the way back down to the new guy named Chris.
It picks up speed on the way down, doesn't it?
Oh,
a little
yeah.
velocity.
Oh,
You
it
probably could write a paper about that. Spherical,
Right.
electromagnetic bomb coming on Chris.
So what did Chris learn there? Respect for the individual yet again.
Mm.
Shouldn't have done it. Dottie retired later that year. I was at her retirement party. We were friends after that, but I learned a very valuable lesson. That's just not the email. Because you know what all caps is in email?
Yeah, screaming.
Yeah, I didn't know that. Damn it.
I was pretty far along in my management career and just for whatever reason typed in all caps, and I wasn't a screamer.
Yeah.
But I don't think people knew it was screaming for a while. Maybe in the fancy banking world they already knew it, but not my company.
No, that was tough. That
It is
one was
interesting.
tough.
You learn those hard lessons from some interesting people. I kind of have a picture in my mind that Dottie's like a large woman.
She was actually a really skinny, really skinny, non-liver mush eating country girl from North Carolina who was a grandmother of 6 and was more proud of the grandmother of 6, which you should be, than answering some snotty ass kid's email in all caps from Anderson.
And she didn't take it. Good for her. Yeah, I actually learned one of the hardest lessons I had to learn, and it was from a customer who was a large woman who was actually missing some teeth, but she was just the sweetest lady. And we were in such a customer service industry that you would sometimes put yourself in positions to where you couldn't deliver what you were promising. And that was one of our company mottos
At
Enterprise.
Enterprise, yeah, which is an amazing
deliver
company.
more than you promise, and never promise more than you deliver. And at one point, I promised what I couldn't deliver. And so, fact is, I lied to a customer.
Yeah?
Yeah, told her our guy was on the way to pick up their customer. It was a body shop, and it's a rental car industry, and got a guy on the way, and I didn't. I mean, we were so slammed. I had nobody, but I just was like, okay.
How old were you when you pulled that move?
I was in my 20s.
Yeah, and you've been there how long?
I was a store manager, I'm pretty sure, at the time.
So you'd made it up to the ranks.
Yeah.
You pulled that one.
And I had a great relationship with all my accounts. And part of it was I wasn't a natural sales guy. I just was somebody, I always did what I said I was going to do. And in this case, Joey's on his way. And I'm just kind of hoping to God that Joey shows up so I can send him on his way or whoever. And they never came.
Oh.
And so I tell the lie. He's on his way. Then they get the call. Well, where's Joey? And I'm like, oh, gosh, he's not there yet. I gotta lean into the lie. And so he's not there yet, really? Oh, I wonder where he is. Well, I'll try to get a hold of him. And it got to the point where they're worried that Joey had been hit by a train or something like that. And then so finally, nobody came back to the office that I could send out to the account. So I had to go. And when I walked in the door, it was an immediate understanding that I had been lying the whole time from this account. And she just looked at me and she said, I thought we had a better relationship with that. You can be honest with me. And if you get into a situation, because it happens to everybody, if you let me know up front, we can work with it.
That's a valuable
Oh, it's
lesson,
a super lesson.
right?
Yeah.
Tell the truth, because you'll never
Even when
forget
it hurts, because you always want to say what people want to hear, but that doesn't necessarily work.
that. Man,
You
right
know?
there.
Yeah.
That is one of the biggest points of us just talking, is what you just said. That I love that stuff, because you hit it so hard.
I felt so bad.
Right.
I never, ever lied to an account. It's not like I grew up
Right.
a liar.
Right.
But, you just
Right.
got in a situation where you just
Not
kinda,
when the dad's a pastor.
No. But it's like, hey, yeah, we got a car coming, that kind of thing. And you knew one would show up because you had a gazillion of them. Once in a while, it didn't. So anyway, yeah.
The truth shall set you free.
Yeah, I love the lesson, but it's amazing. Those lessons that we learned did not come from the manual. Didn't come from some class that you took. It certainly didn't come from business school.
Was that in Econ 101?
No,
Was that in statics?
no.
Was it in statistics?
It was the school of
Daniel?
hard knocks.
Is exactly right.
Yeah.
Those lessons, I think, were far trumped over everything I learned in college. Yeah.
I mean, who'd have thought, Dottie, I don't know if she's alive, God rest her soul or
Yeah.
whatever, but I mean, she taught you a really valuable
A
lesson.
very valuable lesson. Respect the individual.
Yep.
And you heard another one. I think it's another big, huge bomb right there, and that is tell the truth. And it may not feel good, but you're going to feel a whole lot better by not trying to figure out how to lie and get around it.
Yeah.
And don't be that guy, because when you get into business for yourself, it is so hard to run a business. And if you try to run a business on the sly, or you try to run a business without doing things ethically and responsibly, it's coming back to bite you in the ass.
And we were all about ethics, but these are always little white lies that you told just to kind of smooth things
Right.
over a
Right.
little bit.
That's
And,
true.
yeah, and I mean, it's one of those things where you learn people can handle bad news if you deliver it correctly and timely and you're proactive about it. It's when they have to find out what the story is and then you deliver them bad news, then you look incompetent.
So we both learned a lot of valuable lessons early on, right? Either enterprise, or in my case, at Accenture, which still had not been branded Accenture yet. I'm getting ready to leave Accenture, but I'm not really ready to leave there, because I'm having a lot of fun. They're starting to teach a lot of things. But you know what? We're going to wait, and we're going to come back to that in episode 2. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Small Business Safari. Remember to keep that positive attitude, which will reflect in a higher altitude as you're out there making it happen in the wild world of small business ownership. Until next time, go make it a great day, Adventure Team.